planet Earth.
Some call me nature.
I am very passionate about the planet
Earth.
A living, breathing planet capable of sustaining whatever life forms we see fit to deposit on it.
Spock, judging by the pollution content of the atmosphere, I believe we have arrived.
It's the planet stupid.
No. It's the planet stupid.
Our guide for It's the Planet Stupid eco-journalist, Belinda Weymouth. Hi, Belinda.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm all right. Talk to me. What is happening in this complex world? I love by the way, I have to tell everybody. So Belinda sends me an email going, I forget, I wish I could find the exact email. It was something like, Mark, I'm just, I hope I'm sure you've heard that Joe Biden is considering dropping out. No, my God, really?
I like to help out, Mark. And I'm not just concerned about the environment.
You're
about a lot of things. I live here.
It was the best. It was like, am I under a rock? I mean, my God, it's what we do here. Yeah. But it was very funny. You were just so sweet. It was like just the first line and then you went on to the stuff that you wanted to get to, but it was really, really funny.
I'm glad you liked it. It was for your amusement. Come on.
Okay. All right. Belinda, tell me what's happening in this great place called Earth. There is good news and bad.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the bad because there's definitely lots of bad. I mean, these court decisions are insane. We got the Supreme Court overturning the Chevron deference. And this means that, rather than having experts and governmental regulatory bodies, people really, who understand what's going on, interpreting what can be unclear laws when it comes to the environment and to industry and all of these things, guess what? Now it's not going to be left. The experts now are going to be partisan judges. They're going to interpret these unclear laws. And
and more than even partisanship, they just aren't experts in the field. And a lot of the stuff you really need to be a scientist to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, this absolute campaign that we've had from conservatives, the appointment of all these judges during the Trump administration is now, paying off. And so you've got, commerce departments and corporations, the thing that just happened with the federal judge on Monday saying that Louisiana and 15 other states who were saying, hey, we've got lots of, natural gas and we want these export ports, built all along the coastline of Texas and Louisiana, where poor people live. And here's the thing, Mark, the exports of liquefied natural gas, they have already doubled in the last 4 years because of all the additional exporting hubs facilities that there are there. And the Biden administration just put on hold, I think it's between 8 and 12 new ones. But with the ones that are already being built, the liquefied natural gas exports are already slated to double again in the next 4 years. So, this business as usual thing, the thing that I also wrote to you in the email along with the breaking news was that, I think what conservatives and Republicans are really showing us is that, whether they know that climate change is real or not, or they just absolutely have the blinkers on, they really don't care about the well-being of their constituents. That's what they're showing with, thwarting these laws and these environmental protections, overturning the Chevron deference, which means that there'll be, it puts in jeopardy climate change policies, which, Biden, however we feel after his performance last Thursday night, he has really done more than any other president so far for climate change. The toxic, the regulation of toxic chemicals, the making sure that we have, as little pollution as possible in the air and the water. Overturning the Clean Neighbors Act, that you can't have a coal-fired power plant here when the prevailing winds are going to send it to the neighboring state and you're going to give them pulmonary disease and their children asthma, And
again, these are all things that were overturned by the Supreme Court decision. Exactly.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane. So I do have to give our president a shout out for what he announced yesterday. May I do that?
Of course.
So yesterday, he announced that OSHA and his administration are going to put in place rules to protect workers from heat. And this is hugely, hugely important. We've got these heat waves hitting us right now. We've got Hurricane Beryl, doing incredible damage. And this is just the beginning, of the hurricane season. We've got, the worst hurricane season slated. And when you look at the numbers of people that they talk about who are dying from heat-related deaths, it's, this is the biggest fatality impact of climate change, heat-related deaths. The LA Times just released research. So it was estimated in a 10-year period, they said, in California, 600 people had died of heat. And the LA Times researched those numbers and said, actually, it's 6 times that amount. It's 3,900 people who died of heat. It was a 10-year period. I can't remember the exact dates. But, we've got in the last, I think it was from 2012 to 2022, they're saying, 2,300 people died from heat-related deaths nationwide. And it's really important for these guys, for the workers. And this is why it's going to be, through OSHA, it's going to protect 36 million Americans who work in places where heat is an issue. I just think this is, not only is it the right thing to do, it's so important to, to bring attention to it. So right now, and the great thing is if these, if this rule gets finalized, and it would mean that employers have to really be educated in what, heat-related stress looks like. They'd have to have proper water and cooling facilities for their workers, so they could quickly get them into a cooling facility if they were showing signs of heat distress. Young new workers would be trained to sort of be able to recognize if they started feeling heat stress. And okay, the thing I was thinking about earlier was we all get so, up in arms about sweatshops in other countries. Well, we've got sweatshops here with these workers. And there was this horrible case last year. I don't know if anyone of our listeners or if you guys read about it. It was a worker in Texas, and he was suffering from heat distress. And his employers thought that his erratic and weird behavior was drug-induced, but he was high. And so they kept him working until he died. And so these rules are so important, particularly, with what's happening. And we have them. So we have them in various states. We have them in Washington, Oregon, California, Minnesota, and one other state. But 2 of our hottest states, Florida and Texas, the governors there, Abbott and DeSantis, have ruled against local governments being able to have any kind of requirements to protect workers. They ruled against it in 2 of the hottest states. And again, that just, it's like, it's just this flagrant denial of what's happening, and also just flagrant, disregard for people's health and their lives. And that's what all these court decisions, when it's okay to pollute, it's okay not to protect your workers. It's, we don't need climate policies.
Well, it's all about money, of course, and because I'm seeing in the check, why would anyone be against protecting workers from life-threatening heat? I don't get it. Well, it's all about money, because if you have to build a cooling station, if you have to take a worker off the line, et cetera, that is productivity. I mean, I'm very much into animals, and I look at a lot of animal welfare situations. And when they truck these pigs and other livestock across multiple states, across multiple days, there's no water, there's no food and all of that. They just, and then a bunch of them die in these overwhelming, but you say, well, how are they possible that happen? It's just money to them. They just, well, we just know that 25% of the creatures on board that truck will die from heat and exhaustion and dehydration. But the 75% will make it. So, and that's the way they look at these workers. They will look at them the exact same way. I mean, as just animals in a truck being trucked to slaughter. I'm sorry to put it in those terms, but to me, the evidence is just so very stark, and and this is the human toll. I'm so glad you point to the human toll of climate change and the climate crisis.
No, I think we do have to, call it out for what it is, because it's so inhumane. what we're doing to our fellow, human beings and to animals. I mean, it's just, it's awful. I mean, there was a thing I was reading the other day talking about real estate and how you're really going to have to think about where you buy a home vis-a-vis climate change. And one of the things they're saying is that in the next 3 decades, 100 million Americans are going to live in what they're called extreme heat belts. And in an extreme heat belt, you're going to get at least one day a year when the heat index hits 125 degrees Fahrenheit. I mean, that's 100 million Americans. It's insane. So, whatever we think of Biden, the fact that he announced this yesterday, these rulings to help American workers, I just have to applaud him for it. And I hope that he doggedly, no matter how long he's going to, if it's just going to be this term, if he is our president going forward, that, he is doggedly trying to do something to protect American workers, and it's so important. And it's in such stark contrast with what we get on the other side, which is this incredible disregard. And I'm just going to keep calling it out because I find it egregious and terrible.
I love that you pointed out, and I also want to underscore that I'm very much about the Biden record. That's why when Kim and I were discussing, I think last hour, the matter of the presidency, that's not what we're talking about. The presidency and campaigning are two different things. Communicating a message and trying to stave off this authoritarian who is waiting in the wings, that's a different skill set, if you want to think of it that way, than actually administering the country. What you're suggesting is he's actually administering the country in all these aggressive, breakthrough, fabulous ways that protect workers and protect real estate and protect all the things that deserve protection and are cognizant of so many aspects of a changing environment. But sadly, it coexists with this guy who, unfortunately, by age, addled by, those things that get to all of us, he just isn't as vital, it doesn't seem, in some of the ways to try to, again, to be the TV star that he needs to be, to stave off a little bit of the onslaught of Trump. But I love the policy is just remarkable. It's transformational.
Yeah. No, it's really important, and to really call out that climate change last year cost the US $90 billion. The damages from it. I mean, this is no joke. $90 billion is no joke. So shall we move on and talk about something positive and fabulous that's happening? And it's in the corporate world, which I really love to be able to talk about a positive thing in the corporate world.
Please.
Cool. Okay. So NOAA, our National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, along with marine sanctuary groups, nonprofit groups, air quality boards, came up with this idea in 2014 that they were going to do an award. They were going to have an awards show for shipping companies that would slow down those huge cargo ships that we see, going up and down our coasts. And what we have to realize is that 90% of consumer goods are transported around the world in cargo ships. And we know that, the cargo ship traffic, has increased sort of exponentially as, we rely on, all these imported goods. And that these ships are horrible for marine life, particularly big marine life, are whales. And so what NOAA and these other groups came up with this idea, and I have to read out the name of what it's called because I love the name. So it's called Protecting Blue Whales and Blue Skies, because what they're getting these container ships to do is to voluntarily slow down when they're passing through really important, marine areas. So areas where you've got migrating whales, where you've got birthing whales. And the thing about whales right now is because of climate change and heating ocean, their food supply is closer to coastlines, which means they're more in danger of having collisions with these cargo ships. Well, what's happened is, so first of all, if they slow down from 18 or 14 knots an hour to 10 knots an hour, they were being given a monetary incentives to do that. But now they have these, and I love that that's the picture, because they have a whale tail shaped trophy that they win if you're at sapphire level. And sapphire level is for a ship that slows down for 85% of its journey through a protected area, which drops the collision possibility with whales by 58%. It reduces their carbon and air pollution, and then also the noise that these boats are creating that marine animals have to contend with. So this thing has been this huge success because these shipping companies are loving it. They love getting the awards. Their bosses love them getting the awards. They check them. There's one Japanese company that of the last 4 years has got a Sapphire Award, 3 times. They dropped the monetary incentive because these companies don't need the monetary incentive. They don't need $2,500 to slow down, but that trophy, it's like the Oscars. It's like the Oscars for people who give, some care to the whales in our ocean. And I just am so impressed with this. We've got
that
thousands.
That is a really great program. I didn't know about it. That's just terrific.
Yeah, because off the West Coast, we've got fin whales, humpback, and blue. So those are 3 really important species. And the fact is right now, Mark, we have thousands of them. On the East Coast, the right whale is down to 360 whales left. And, we can't get to that. We can't get to that. We need those whales. So we're having, this award show, this annual award show is having a positive effect. And so.
Absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. By the way, it was asked, how do you get $90 billion? I think Randy asked that question in damage because you mentioned... from
climate change related.
Mars asked that. How does climate change cost $90 billion in 1 year? Where's that money even going? You're talking about, because it's pretty easy to get there, actually, when you think about it, with all the damage to infrastructure and, homes destroyed. And think about the damage that extreme weather and climate disasters of one sort or another does. And when you get the abacus out, it adds up to $90 billion. I mean, I agree. It seems like an extraordinary amount, but that's what Belinda's point is.
Well, look, you've got, all the infrastructure damage, you've got lost productivity. I mean, the fires that are raging right now here in California, I mean, they're 0% contained. And they've got, I think it's something like 400. Look, aren't they fabulous?
Oh, that's really great. Good catch on, for those just listening, those are the awards for the shipping companies that slow down and save so many of these whales by slowing down in these various whale migration lanes. And so we're showing the trophies now that they hand out. That's really great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Well, and what's also really amazing is how these companies really responded to it, and one of the environmental organizations was sort of saying, well, no one wants to hit a whale, but as you were saying, it's sort of like the pigs that die in an overheated truck being transported, has been seen as collateral damage. But the fact is they're big megafauna, and we love them. We love our big animals. And so the fact that these shipping companies, I mean, one of the guys who's based here in the States was saying, the owners of the company back in Japan are like, we want that trophy. We want to, they like the bragging rights of it, So, I think that, when we can get clever about these environmental negatives, we can turn a negative into a positive. And obviously, we need to, to do that with more things. But, when we have a win, we have to really celebrate it. And, and as I keep saying, you've got to really think about how you vote, in November, because this one means so much with where we're at right now. And the heat is crazy. I mean, did you see the story about the Olympians in Paris?
Yeah, tell that. We've got time. Tell that. I mean,
okay,
I know
so
we're a little bit late, but
this
go
is
ahead.
wild. So the French want to host the greenest Olympics ever. And they're going to be in competition with LA, who are having the 2028 Olympics, because they're really doubling down on making it green. But so one of the things that Europeans survive on with a lot less air conditioning than Americans. So what they did in the Olympic Village, and you've got to show the picture of the Olympic athletes' room, because man, is it bare bones. But in these dormitory style rooms, they've put in these water pipes that go through the floorboards. I mean, this is where you have elite athletes. If they want to get a coffee maker, a table, chairs, they have to apply for those. Otherwise, this is it, and your fan. And then you've got these pipes that are running under the floor, which will keep the rooms to, even in a heat wave, not going above 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, 79 is already pretty high. And what countries, the US, Britain, Canada, Australia, Germany have said, look, our elite athletes, we have to keep them cool. So they're going to be putting, those air conditioning units that you can put in a room. They're going to be getting air conditioning units because they want their, elite athletes to be at the top of their game. And it is going to thwart what France is trying to do. But, last year, Paris got up to 90 degrees. Well, that's really hot for, an athlete to be basically, competing in, let alone living in. And the fan with the cooling pipes under the floor, would reduce carbon emissions by half. But you do kind of get that countries are saying, hey, we're not sending the best of the best, into conditions that might not allow them to compete at the top of their game.
It's absolutely wild. It really is wild. God,
yeah.
It's, one of those things. But this is it. I mean, this is, again, these summers are getting so hot. And the challenge in beautiful Paris for the Olympics. And it is wild to think of these elite athletes reduced to sort of college dorm style situations. But man, it reminds me of Brazil. Remember when they had the Olympics there in Brazil, and the pollution and toxins were so thick in the waterways where they were having swimming races and boating races. Okay, so in one case there's swimming going on. I think there's like open swimming in some of these waterways. But let's leave that aside. I mean, that's clearly you're just you're basically swimming through sludge. But in the boaters, they warned the scullers, the people who are just rowing, that do not let any of the water hit you in the mouth. I mean, it's that toxic. I mean, this is how we have so toxified the world, that these are environments, even at the Olympics, there was no way to clean up these waterways. They're way too polluted. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they're saying about the Seine in France. Yeah. They were supposed to have it all cleaned up. They were supposed to have it, they're testing the water. The mayor of France was going to swim to show how clean it was. Macron was going to leap in before the Olympics. And they had to delay the mayor's swim because tests showed E. coli and all types of fecal bacteria were still polluting this river. So they have to do the triathlon there. There's a couple of swimming events that are being held there. And one wonders, is it safe for these elite athletes to jump in?
Oh,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be wanting to jump into a river in any major city right now.
We can't wait to have the greenest and cleanest Olympics ever. We just can't find the planet to do it because it can't be anywhere here on this planet. Belinda, love our visits. Don't want to cut you short. Should you have anything else or not?
I think we've covered a lot of
I think so too, but I never want you to feel, I don't want you to feel like you're ever getting shortchanged. So that's why I asked. All right.
I don't.
Find Belinda across social media. Belinda Waymouth is Waymouth. We adore you and love these contributions every week. And I learned so much personally, so thank you. Belinda Waymouth, everybody. That's It's the Planet Stupid for today.
More.
It's the Planet Stupid. No. It's the Planet Stupid.
Next time, only on The Mark Thompson Show.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.